to the Mike Knox-Comedy podcast. I am your host, Mike Knox. This is our episode number 11. Just wanted to give a shout out there to Brain Ablaze. It is a great podcast. If you have any information about epilepsy, my daughter has epilepsy. My daughter also has the VNS therapy implant. I should probably talk more about it. She's on her second battery. She's been seizure-free for 6 years and 4 months. Just to give you a little background, I actually had a doctor tell us at one point to plan her funeral that she never progressed past the second grade, and now she is 16 and getting all A's. Very proud of her. I know that the all A's shouldn't matter, but this is a kid that never thought she would be able to read because of her epilepsy. There's 3 million people in the United States with epilepsy, 65 million worldwide. I think there's way more people with epilepsy in the United States. I know the mobster in California, very little laws to protect them. It's just that if you're going through seizures, you're going through epilepsy, you can't think. Your mind you're in a daze, it's in a fog, and so you're not able to advocate for yourself. And I just, the other day, somebody posted making fun of epilepsy, making fun of seizures on Facebook, and it makes me very angry, but it also, the ignorance of people, because seizures aren't funny. We don't need to make fun of them. So I calmly just talked to the person, told them that was a horrible comment, and then another person apologized for them because they were too much of a coward to do it themselves, and took the post down. So I think if we could all do that, and in 2023, I don't know why we're still making fun of seizures, but apparently we are. I know that there is a comedian out there, Stephen Ho, that seems to find that funny on YouTube and doesn't want to take them down, and YouTube doesn't want to do anything either. And again, there's no laws to protect anybody, but there are lots of places for information, a lot of bad places. One of the places that I think is the great information is the Brain Ablaze podcast, and it's definitely something to listen to. And there's also, if you go on to follow, there's kind of a community that we have for epilepsy support on Twitter, and then Brain Ablaze podcast is the one that actually has a support group. I believe it's every month, and it's just a great group of people, and it is very sad because epilepsy to me is just like the forgotten brain disorder. And there's still many people like my boss who used to taunt me about it and bully me about it and think that it was funny. And there's still psychos out there just like that. So that's my rant for today. I will continue to advocate for epilepsy and talk more about it. But on to the news we go. And what was I going to say something that happened to me. I'll try to think of it anyways. Another person this week died from bacteria-linked recall to eye drops. I gotta tell you, man, if you were a stoner back in the day, you carried eye drops with you all the time. There wasn't a single death. No, I guess these eye drops now are blinding people from a bacteria in there. I don't want to put anything in my eyes, man. Time is precious for me, especially with my eyesight deteriorating rapidly every single day. I know that I need glasses. I'm resistant. I definitely can't read in the dark like my kid can, that's for sure. Relatively few people who shelled out the $25 for a copy of Seth Klarman's investment book in 1991 knew that it would be such a huge hit in 2023. They were actually giving the book away, and now the book is valued at $2,000 a copy for his book titled Margin of Safety. He was actually talking about some Wall Street stuff, and I've been riding the market there for about 23 years, and I've never gotten over 100,000. And to me, man, it's you can't talk about it because people get mad at you, but I've been saving money consistently, and it's really, I mean, yes, I've made a little bit of money, but it's a sad state of affairs, the way that our stock market just kind of, goes up, and then it's just down all the time, and I'm always losing money, and then everybody's telling me, just put more money in there, it's great. That's the only advice I ever get from people that aren't even in the money business, is just put more money in, that's what I heard. The Biden administration apparently wants to get rid of chocolate milk in schools. And I really don't care much about politics, but when you take away my chocolate milk, that's a staple of childhood right there. I remember Nestle Quick in the tin can. You pop that open, you get a spoon out, you mix that with some milk, and it is delicious. And that is what carried me through many miserable days in school. And I know that the Biden administration is trying to go against gas stoves and washing machines and everything like that, but don't touch our chocolate milk. That's just sad, I feel. A woman donated her kidney to save her boss's life, and then he turned around and fired her for taking too long to recover from the kidney operation that she gave him the kidney. I feel for this lady because I could totally see my boss doing that, although I would never give him my kidney, but he was a selfish prick just like that, and he would obsess about people taking days off, wouldn't let people take days off or vacation, and I accumulated thousands of hours, and then the company had to pay me all those hours later on. It could have been easily resolved if you just let me take a day off. That would have been nice. But of course we have people like that in the world, and that's why I bring that up. There are many people like that, many bosses that are exactly like that. You give them a kidney and they fire you. And that's the way it is. I will be performing at the Comedy Chateau sometime in June. And I'm very excited about that. I like the Comedy Chateau. They position it like it's a church for comedy, and I like that. And the outside is like a chateau, and it's owned by Felix McNulty, and I think he's just an all-around great guy. I've never met him, but I got a feeling he's a pretty cool guy for running that whole place. Seattle is out of control with crime and drug problems, as if you didn't know. So the post office has decided that they will no longer serve certain areas because they keep getting the crap beaten out of them and all their mail stolen. I've got to just say that the post office in my area is horrible. The people there that work at the post office in my area are horrible. It used to be, I never thought I was going to be the person that said there used to be stuff, but there used to be mailboxes on every corner, and I could drop my mail. Now I go to my postal office, and the mailboxes are locked. I can't even mail anything. I'm just all the time puzzled as in, what exactly are you people doing? I passed by the soup plantation the other day that was closed, and it reminded me that I got the last time that I was at the soup plantation was in the 90s when I got massive food poisoning from soup plantation. And then I Googled it, and I read that they all closed down. So I took a photo of the soup plantation for the memories of it to rest in peace. But I never really it was like I get it. It's soup, it's salad. You're supposed to be healthy. I remember the bread was pretty good, but it's just like exposed soups sitting out. Just to me, it was like bacteria everywhere, and everybody seemed to love it. I mean, everybody went there for lunch and they lined up, and maybe because it was so cheap. But I was always perplexed by this soup plantation. I always thought also that the name was odd, even though that's what their specialty was soups. In racing news, the Churchill Downs just lost another horse. I believe it is 8 now. Bob Baffert. If you don't know anything about horse racing, basically Bob Baffert is like the greatest owner of horses. I don't know anybody else. My dad was in the business. He actually had a horse that paid the second most at Hollywood Park. Hollywood Park's not there anymore. It used to be in Inglewood. They used to have dollar night. Under 30 years old, back in the day, you could get $1 beer, $1 hot dogs. I would load up on theirs on a Friday night. It was great. But my dad's horse was named Uppy Duppy, and it went off at 179 to 1, and I think it was I've lost count now, $300 something for your $2 bet when it won. And for some reason, they never kept any, like they would film the horse races, but then you could never have access to it because it was like pre-internet, and then nobody like logged it in or collected any of that stuff. So I would love to see that race again, because I remember the horse won by quite a lot of lengths, and my dad was very upset because his second wife at the time had given me $20 to bet, and the horse had such long odds that I thought, yeah, I'm going to keep my $20. And then my dad was mad that I didn't bet on his horse, but I was like, well, I mean, I'm not a mathematician here or anything, but I still won $20 because I didn't spend it. I didn't gamble. And I think that's the lesson here. My dad also went on to write a little self-published book about what a monster I was, because I refused to bet on that horse also. But it was a great day, and I think he won. I probably won like 5,000 betting on his horse, I think. Something ridiculous. He was always at the track, and he owned a couple horses, but that was it really is something to, when you're it really is the sport of kings, because it does feel good to get out there and stand in the winner's circle and take a picture with that horse after they've been beating him for a mile and a half. I just really don't see PETA's putting the pressure, animal rights are putting the pressure on these places, and the only reason they stay open is because vast amounts of money that go through there. And if you ever read up on like that was like one of the mob strongholds, was they could get they could pay the jockeys to pull back or go forward to win or lose, with the threats of a beating. But it was just a cash cow for organized crime. And so these places are huge. Also, Santa Anita in Arcadia, California, such a beautiful piece of property that's right up against the mountains, and I could just see developers want to take that place and add some condos to it, So, and then the racing isn't a year. It used to be, I believe, it was all the time, and now it's very selected few months out of the year. So not a lot of people are still going to them. Used to be a big thing. You can watch it online now. So actually going there to watch the ponies is a lot different than it used to be. I still love it. I think it's great. If you ever go to Santa Anita in Arcadia, that place was built, I think in the 30s maybe, but it's, and I don't know anything about art, but I'm going to say Art Deco anyways, but it's just, the architecture is cool to walk around and look at. And the bathrooms are a perfect example of 1940s style bathrooms. So it really does remind me of the old Los Angeles ways. I think it's, to me, pretty cool out there. The drugged and stole $600,000 worth of jewelry from a man that she met at a place called the Dirty Rabbit. The woman swiped $450,000 of a rainbow Rolex and $46,000 of a Sky Dweller Rolex. Basically, she met the guy, and then they went up to his hotel room, and then she offered him a drink, and then he fell asleep, and then she robbed him. And this seems to be pretty familiar area for hot chicks in Miami. But there's so many questions that I have here. First of all, I know it's Miami, but you're wearing $400,000 on your wrist. Somebody's going to come along and steal it or chop your arm off. Same with $46,000. And it's not to be, you get to do whatever you want, but do you really, nobody's wearing watches anymore. So, and then the other thing I have is when a hot chick comes up to you, you should, in the back of your mind a little bit, I know it's hard for men, but there should be caution, because no hot chick has ever come up to me. No hot chicks come up to me ever. I know you get the text messages or you get an Instagram, there's hot chicks in the area that want to meet you, but that doesn't ever happen. That's the fantasy. And so, I think a lot of people reading the story would be like, oh, he was drugged by her. He should have probably known better. And then the other side of your brain is kind of like, well, good for her. She's out there, she's working, she's out there, doing what she can to survive in the United States. So, it's distorted. I realize that. But that's what makes it a funny story, because you've heard these stories before. Hot chicks coming up to you to want to be with you, and they want to go up to your, room, and you're not doing anything, and you haven't approached them. Yeah, that should be a warning for other people. I think it'll continue to happen. I don't think there's ever going to be a warning. Then the other part 3 is, I love how the only shot that they can get of the hot chick, and they blur out the victim, they don't want to show him, is like a head over, the bird's eye view of the elevator, and no other shots. 2023, but we don't have camera work from any other angle, anything like that. To me, it's just, I think everybody on the internet is kind of the same way. Like, where's the crazy cat internet lady to sleuth this one? Because the police department and the hotel certainly aren't doing a very good job at catching this person. And in reality, I don't know about the laws. If you were in Los Angeles, there'd be a slap on the wrist. They would let her right back out. They really wouldn't care. I don't know about Miami, what they do there with their laws. I do know that they got some good cleanup on crime down there, so they'll probably end up finding her. But it doesn't look like, I think it really doesn't look like much that she's going to be found. In Rhode Island, that is north of Florida, I do believe, the city councilman was busted with a crack pipe in his hand. On a police video showed that the city councilman was arrested on drug possession charges after police found him sleeping in his vehicle. Apparently, he had the crack pipe in his mouth. Being a city councilman is a tough job. You shouldn't be smoking crack. Obviously, you should be fired, but I doubt this guy will get fired, and I doubt that anything will happen to him unless he wants to. The reason I bring up this story is because it's mind-blowing to me that when politicians commit crimes, there's no like law that says you can't be in this office anymore for committing crimes. That's the thing. So politicians get to be criminals legally, and they also get to get insider trading on stocks where the normal person would then be arrested and is not allowed to. But the politicians seem to get away with whatever that they want, including city councilmen smoking crack. By some top-notch journalism here, they found out that the FBI improperly used warrantless searches for 278,000 times in 2021 alone. And if you kind of narrow this down, I don't know the computer program that they're using, but we used to use a program that was like a Justice Department. You could run pretty much everything on somebody if they'd ever been arrested, or you could do like a DMV with their license plates or anything like that. And of course, the FBI is supposed to be using a warrant when they do use that, completely violating everybody's rights. But I really don't think anybody cares, and I think everybody's really thinking to themselves, "Well, isn't that what the FBI does? Is they just violate everybody's rights? Isn't that what they're supposed to be doing?" And so I don't think that anybody's going to care. But 278,000 times in just 1 year, and that was 2 years ago. So. At least somebody investigated them, but I doubt anything is going to happen to them because it never does. This was a great, I love the neighborhood app, and it always brings up such great arguments with people. But this one guy posted, he said, "Please stop sitting out in your car and honking for people to come out of the house." And then everybody else was like, "Yes, because you could just text if you want to." And I will agree with that, because I'm just triggered by the horn, because that's how my mom would communicate with me when I was younger. It would just be like slamming on the horn, like when I went to Jimmy's house and she was supposed to pick me up and I wasn't waiting out in front. She couldn't come up to the door. She just laying on the horn, picked me up from school, laying on the horn. That's what everybody did. And so I'm just triggered when I hear that horn. And then there always seems to be somebody in my neighborhood that wants to use that horn like pre 7 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday. And that's really the problem that I have, especially now when you can just text or call somebody to come out of the house, but you're just too lazy. The writer's strike also is going on, the WGA. And I can't remember if I talked about this or not, but I have been supporting them. I'm not in the WGA, but I went to Disney. I also went to Warner Brothers. I'm planning to go there. I've also got one in Santa Clarita, but I want to go down to the Paramount in the West LA area, just to support everybody there. I find it, you can't do a movie or TV without a script, and it's got to be a good script. That's what carries the movie, relevant or not. But it was like the minimum for a pilot script was $33,000. But that's before taxes. So take away half of that, and you're like a little above 15,000, and that's hard to survive off that in Los Angeles for one script. So I'm with you. I'll be out there walking the line with you, and I hope that you get what it is that you need, because we cannot do anything without writers, I do believe. And also segue into, I've written 2 books. One book is Vivian's Reign, which is my daughter's battle with epilepsy, which I put a lot of heart and soul into it. And I think it's pretty good. I think one person on Amazon said that they didn't care for it. But I'm not apologizing for that. I'm going to keep going and keep writing. I think that the writing is what makes everybody a better actor. That I'm going to talk about. The first one is that Fetty Wap, if you were a fan of the rapper, he got 6 years in prison for drug trafficking. First of all, that's a lot of time, considering they're letting everybody out, so that must have been a lot of drugs that he had on him. That is in New Jersey, of course, where they want to throw everybody, lock away the key and throw everybody away. He'll probably be out in 3, but that's a long time. Also in the news, I was reading that Virgin Airways, or it was called Virgin Orbit, which I had completely forgot about, because you've got Tesla that's trying to go to space, or went to space, and then you've got Amazon that's trying to go to space, but also Richard Branson was trying to go to space with Virgin Orbit, and I guess apparently that went, I don't know if they went bankrupt, but I guess he was trying to do low low satellites for the UK, and apparently he lost over $1 billion during the pandemic. So that kind of makes sense. In the pandemic, you probably weren't allowed to go into space. Virgin Galactic, that was the other name I was trying to think of. But it just feels to me like the other two probably got a little help from the government, and they probably left. The UK government didn't want to help out Branson, so that's the sad part. But I mean, he was doing all sorts of stuff in space for a while, and I'm gonna miss him being in space. Speaking of being in space, the police tasered a 95-year-old woman this week named Claire. She's got dementia, and she was wandering around her nursing home with a steak knife. So the cops decided, nursing home. Knife, old person, extremely old person. Let's shoot her. Let's not, we're in a confined area. And this is what I always rant and rave about. This is the problem that I have with the police and the training of the police, and to assess the situation, because the police get very narrow-minded. And there is no nice way to say this, but there's no reason for you to shoot a 95-year-old lady. Yes, she had a knife, but you could have deployed your pepper spray in this situation. You could have used I'm sure you could have fought a 95-year-old woman, but instead you decided to shoot her inside of a nursing home. You go, hey, there's a nursing home. There's going to be old people in here. Hey, I got a phone call. Really, this is what needs to change, is we need to have better training, which we don't. We all lie and say that we have better training for police, and we don't. And they continue to make horrible, horrible choices, which they do. And I know everybody is against me on this one, but there was no reason for Claire to be shot, if you ask me. The nursing home isn't doing a very good job. And it's also a fear of mine as I get older. Am I going to end up in a nursing home just like Claire holding a knife, and then the police shoot me? Because I don't want to be in a nursing home. And I see all these nursing homes, and they frighten me, and I don't want to live there. And I know that some people do. Anyways, speaking of being shot at 95, Meta keeps laying more and more people off, more and more thousands of workers. And so 6,000 in total this week. And this is my only thing. I think I've talked about this before. I guess Meta is publicly traded. That's a lot of money. But it's I just don't understand it. I'm not comprehending it. And when I don't, I think that I grasp the concept of most things, but when I don't quite understand something, like Second Life, I totally got. Second Life I thought was great, and the whole meta thing, I just don't want to be a part of it. And so maybe that's what it is. I think a lot of things fail when we can't, it can't be easily comprehended for the layperson like myself. And so I think that that's why Meta is not doing. You should have just left it called Facebook, and I would have understood it more than I'm not grasping what the meta is, or the meta universe, or whatever. I was on. I was trying to find a painter on Yelp today, and what I don't like about Yelp is that I find somebody by reviews. So, and usually it's like the most reviews that the person, say the painter, if they've got like under 25 reviews, I'm like, well, that's probably a new company. I don't want to take a chance. But then I go with somebody that's like at least over 100. I think that you've spent some quality time painting. And there's always going to be ones and twos and stuff like that. And there's always going to be the person that should have given the 5, but they gave a 4 because they don't want to, be too nice. And there's once in a while, there's always going to be somebody that didn't like the job. But if there's over 100 5-star reviews, I think you're pretty safe. And so, I clicked on there and I'm like, hey, could you call me back for an estimate? Well, then I get bombarded by all these other people, and that I don't, some of them aren't even on Yelp. They don't have an ad. For some reason, I like a physical address. I like the person to be in the area. It just gives me a vote of confidence. And then some guy, the estimate was, like $600 because it was just trim on the outside. The guy, no pictures, no description. It was just like, I'll do it for $600. And I was like, this sounds so shady to me. Then the other guy that I'd actually wanted to contact came in with half the price. But I don't know. It's like the Wild West of painters, or it's just an odd, to me, it's odd that I put something into Yelp and it goes out to everybody. It's like texted everybody, emailed everybody, and then I get bombarded by all these people that I have no idea who they are at all. And I think that can confuse people also, especially if you're Claire in a retirement home. You don't know who it is that you're thinking that it's this one painter, and it's not. And then they show up and they shoot you in your retirement home. So it could be, I get it. It could be very, very confusing out there. Number 11, it is going to be Ken Ito, and my friend Donnie sent this to me, and I thought that this was very interesting. but he was a Japanese mobster. He was born in 1919. He was known as Tokyo Joe, and he was an American mobster with the Chicago outfit, eventually an FBI informant who ran Asian gambling operations for the organization. He was the highest-ranking Asian American in the organization and is also notable for his extraordinary survival of murder attempts. But see, this is the guy that you want to be in the mob with you because you've never heard of this guy before. And he was born in Stockton. He had an 8th grade education. His last school was Virgil Junior High in Los Angeles. I wonder if that's still there. On July 1st, 1941, he registered for Selective Services in Seattle, Washington. His Selective Service registration card states his home address was 306 6th Avenue in Seattle. He was employed as a farm laborer at the time. During World War II, he was interned at a relocation center. He was arrested in 1942 for violating wartime curfew at the camp and detained at the War Relocation Center from August 1942 until March 19th, 1942. Now, I still know someone, that was in Manzanar, and he had said that you could come and go freely, and like the guards didn't see, like you could go down to, or I guess there was a river they went fishing. So I wonder what it was that he got charged with for leaving. I wonder what else was there something else attached to that? In 1947, he worked as a self-employed gambler in Chicago, Illinois. In 1949, he worked as a casino dealer in the Oriental Club in Denver, Colorado. So I think it's kind of hard for people to imagine, but back in the day when you really had no electronics, a lot of people gambled, a lot of people smoked, a lot of people drank, and there were these gambling places that were kind of all over the place, which don't exist anymore. In 1949, he moved to Chicago, where he set up an illegal gambling racket known as Bolito, and was managing $150,000 to $200,000 a week, including $3,000 a week to payoffs to corrupt Chicago police. Oh, gee, the police are corrupt. Imagine that. 1949, Ito flew from Honolulu to San Francisco aboard United Flight 648. The passenger manifest for this flight reflects that Ito gave his home address as in Chicago, Illinois. 1950, he was sentenced in Idaho to 14 years in prison for obtaining money under false pretenses. His signed statement concerning the details of the crime, he said, myself, I bought, and some friends, we bought 50 cars of opium. We paid $14,000. We put up $5,000 each, and we brought it, and we found out that it was not opium. Oh, you got burned. That's kind of interesting. And really, you can look at him as an investor. In September 12th, 1951, he was released on parole from prison. That's interesting. And his gambling operation was eventually uncovered by the FBI, and the outfit capo Vincent Solano was afraid that Ito would turn government witness. In 1983, a few weeks prior to sentencing on his gambling conviction, so he had that's a long time gambling. He was invited to a dinner meeting. Afraid he was going to be shot, he took a bath and put on his best suit before heading out for the meeting. As he was sitting in a parked car, a hitman fired 3 shots into his head. However, the bullets only grazed his skull. After regaining consciousness, he dragged himself into a local pharmacy and called 911. It's crazy. The 911 recording was played with the caller demanding to speak to Ito and then asking him if he could drive himself to the hospital. Eventually, a Chicago Fire Department ambulance was sent for him. I didn't even think that 911 was around in 1983. The failed attempt on Ito's life was blamed on an insufficient amount of gunpowder in the bullets' cartridges. The 2 would-be assassins had hand-loaded their ammunition to reduce their chances of being traced for the attempted murder. He turned informant. He agreed to only work with the FBI, with one FBI agent, and turned informant. After his trial, he entered the witness protection program in 1983. 5 months after his unsuccessful hit, the bodies of Ito's would-be killers were found in the trunk of a car in Illinois. The men had been strangled. The FBI stated that after the failed attempted murder, they went to them and offered to place them into witness. The feds went to them to face them into witness protection, and that got them whacked. Ito testified in court against his former mob partners and helped put away 15 outfit mobsters and their associates, including corrupt police officers. Ito died in Georgia 2004 at the age of 84, living under the name Joe Tanaka. He left behind 6 children. A documentary about him was made. I don't know the name of that documentary, but I'm going to go look it up, and it's by Ken Oguro. agree. That's pretty crazy, fascinating, that he was able to gamble for that long and run gambling rackets for that long. Very interesting story. Like, subscribe, tell me who else you want me to see. I appreciate everybody listening to the Mike Knox Comedy Podcast.